But something else Briar has done recently that doesn't relate to fighting games, but maybe it will in the future, is experience VR to a greater detail.
There are actually fighting games in VR. There's
Are they good?
Boxing, especially. Some of them are real good. Some of them are sort of like Punch-Out, where it's very much a time thing, and you have to block at certain times. Some of them really try and mimic real fighting. Where you can throw a punch whenever you want. Your stamina is controlled by your own personal stamina. That's a little fun. So I recently picked up the Oculus Rift S headset and controllers. This is a pretty interesting offering for VR because it's $400 for the complete kit. Hooks up to your PC. You connect to you connect with the Oculus software on your PC. And it is a wired, tethered headset, but it's a pretty interesting offering. It's a much higher resolution than the previous headsets allowed for. I think it's like 2560 by 1440, something near there.
Okay,
it's really a much higher resolution than what was on the original Rift and what was on the original.
Is it still 90 on the refresh rate?
No, they dropped it down to 80 hertz.
80. Interesting. Okay,
and it's an LCD panel inside of there instead of being OLED, which means with OLED, you had, the true blacks. When LCD, the blackest you ever get is like a dark gray.
Right. Because backlit.
But what it has done, what it has really kind of happened with this headset is there's just no screen door effect anymore. There's very minimal of a screen door effect now, which is a huge improvement over the previous.
Can you explain what a screen door effect is for someone?
Screen door effect is basically can see the black non-lit lines between the pixels.
Oh, okay.
So it makes it look like you're looking through a screen door, right? Is you have bright pixels and then black around them. Right. With the LCD technology and with the higher resolution, that is really minimized. And the graphics are really much better now in VR. There's quite a few games that really take advantage of that. There's a new Star Wars game on Oculus, the Oculus Store. I can't remember the name of it. It's something about Darth Vader. I'll kind of try and look it up while I'm
something about Darth Vader and like lightsabers and stuff.
Darth Vader, the Force, something in Awakening.
But it is single-handedly like the best. It's called Vader Immortal, episode 1.
Immortal Vader.
Nice.
It's a 40 to 50 minute kind of episode 1 of a video game. That the graphics are just outstanding. Like there's a part where you kind of fly on like a small ship through a cave, and you're like looking around the cave, and it just looks fantastic. You actually stand and talk to Darth Vader like in person, and I got to tell you, it's super intimidating to be standing like in front of Darth Vader and having him talk to you. Like it's really like it's an amazing experience.
That's cool.
Because dude's like really tall, and that's portrayed in the game. So you're kind of looking up at him, and he's really intimidating. He's the baddest bad guy, right?
Yeah.
But the headset itself. Let me talk about the headset itself. The headset is different than the old headsets. The Oculus originally used cameras that you placed on your desk or around your room, and they like looked at you, and then that tracked your movement. With this thing is actually the cameras are on the headset itself. There's 5 cameras on the headset itself, and they use inside out tracking. So they look at your room and they kind of judge where you are in your room, and they track the controllers as well. The controllers are included with the headset for $400, and it tracks the controllers as well as receiving the signal from the controller inputs. The whole thing works really well, and it's kind of a great achievement for a $400 headset, considering what these things cost just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
For $400, like you can get into VR and have a really good experience, and everything's included. You get the controllers, you get the headset, you plug it into a PC, you download the software, and you're off to the races. It even comes with some free games. It's a really good value for VR. It's about the price of PlayStation VR now, but it's much better.
I mean, we were looking at like $800 before.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, you know, it's half the price. And from my experience of doing anything with VR, the controllers are actually really important, and they make a big difference to your gameplay. So the fact that it comes with that is awesome, because it actually makes you feel more like you're in the game and you're actually using the stuff that you're using in the game instead of just
the interactivity.
Right. These Oculus controllers are actually spectacular. They fit into your hand like half of a PlayStation 4 or Xbox controller, and they're touch sensitive. So you can just, like, for instance, there's a button on the side here, and just like laying your finger on that button, the Oculus realizes that, and your finger moves in the game. If you actually push that button, then it closes further. So like you can grab stuff, and then also hit the trigger. It also works for your thumb on the buttons inside the controller. It's got real thumbsticks like an Xbox 360 or PS4 gamepad would have, which you can use for movement or manipulation of your environment. The controllers are actually fantastic. If I could use them in regular video games on PC, I totally would. Like, I think it's a great controller.
Nice.
Oh no, that's really good.
So,
if someone wanted to get into VR and they're looking at this and they're like, 400, you know, it's not bad. How good does their computer have to be to make?
I think they say you have to have a GTX 1070 or better for most games.
Okay.
So it's not that crazy, you know, considering the price of a 1070 now, or I want to say like a 2060 is more powerful than a 1070, and that's what, $300, $400?
It's like $300.
So your PC can't be bottom of the line, but it doesn't have to be top of the line anymore.
Right. Before it was a pretty expensive proposition to get into VR. Now it's become a little more normal. It's still not like cheap by any means, but it's getting more doable now. That sounds cool. I might have to check it out.
Yeah. Somebody asked me about it the other day and said, you know, I don't know if I could justify $400 for, you know, for video games. I'm like, well, how much is a gaming monitor? That's like $400 right there.
Yeah.
And this gives you access to, you know, new types of games, comes with the controller, and like, you know, it's truly a totally different experience. The downside is like a lot of the games are experiences, not really full games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
like
one of the things I found with. Go
ahead.
No, I was saying that's one of the things I found initially, like when I first picked up Oculus, like way back when it first sort of came out, and then that's why I gravitated slightly more towards PSVR at the time, because the one thing I did find when compared is that although there was like a lot more choice on Oculus, they all felt like alpha tech demos, whereas the PlayStation ones felt like a slightly more cohesive experience.
Yeah, it still kind of feels like that, to be honest with you. Okay. There's a Spider-Man Far From Home virtual reality experience, right? And it is literally one of the coolest things I've ever done. You start off on the top of a skyscraper and you have full use of Spider-Man's web slinging capabilities.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So you jump off of this skyscraper and I get vertigo. I have to actually shut my eyes for that part, because it really makes me like.
That's like really common in VR. People
you're like experiencing it too, right? Yeah. Like you feel like you're there.
Totally.
I feel like it.
And then you start shooting your webs at the buildings and pulling on them to swing around the city, and it's outstanding. Cool. And there's some enemies that you can fight, but it's like there's not really anything there. There's no like story mode to the thing. There's no, you know, there's like a couple of missions that you do to just fight a couple of things, but really it's just giving you that experience of, you know, web slinging around the city, which is awesome. But in about 45 minutes, I'm like, okay, I've done everything in this demo. You know, too bad it's not a full game. But there are full games. There's Trover Saves the Universe, which is written by the same guy who does the Rick and Morty TV show.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a 3D platformer, kind of like Mario style, but there's also, I don't know, almost Spyro the Dragon, actually, more.
Okay.
You're actually like navigating a 3D environment. There's platforming. You have like a little lightsaber that you actually like swing around, but it's not you that's doing any of this stuff. You are just like your headset is the camera, and you're manipulating Trover, the main character, with your thumbsticks and the controllers. And it's actually really fun. And it's kind of like, I can see playing a lot more games like this because, like, if you can't see something just right, you know how there's always camera issues. You just kind of move your head, turn the chair, and like that kind of stuff. It's actually a really fun game. It's hilarious too. If you like that Rick and Morty style humor.
One question about you mentioned like the Oculus, obviously, like with this one, the cameras are obviously built into the headset. So does that mean now? Because one of the things that I always found with the previous one, especially like in my setup, like you need quite a lot of space for the old one when you have to sort of set the cameras up. Can you use this in a much smaller space as a result?
There's different experiences. It depends on the game you're playing. There's some games that you can play sitting down, like I played Dirt Rally sitting down. There's other games that are you can just stand in one spot and you don't move a whole lot. And there's other games that they say you really kind of need like a 6x6 area to move around in.
Well, it actually stop you because like in the previous one, it would be like if you didn't. Oh, okay.
If you get close, your headset or your controller gets close to the boundaries that you set, you kind of when you first get it, you kind of use the controller to spray paint the boundaries of your play space, and then it knows when you're getting close to that, and it like a red grid kind of shows up in 3D space saying, "Oh, you're getting near this area that you don't want to be in." So, like if you're playing a game. Like Vader Immortal, where you're using a lightsaber and you get into swinging and you get into moving around, and dodging. You don't want to be like slamming your hand onto your desk or through a window or something.
No, for sure, yeah.
Through the wall.
Yeah.
But that sounds interesting because at least with that, like it sounds like you have sort of slightly more control over where you want to play. Whereas I remember like trying to set up the original one, like I just about had enough room, and then sometimes during calibration, it's like, no, please step back. And I'm like, I physically can't step back. I've actually got enough room. And it's like, nope, sorry, you can't even use this thing. I was like, well, thanks. Whereas like, at least with that one,
I had a ton of problems with the original Rift. I bought the original Rift and ended up returning it in about 2 weeks because I just
really
like, the calibration never worked right, and it would forget the calibration between sessions. So I'd have to go back in and do it again. So it became a situation where I wouldn't play VR because of the setup. Like I kind of feel like playing VR, but there's like 20 minutes of just setting it up. And I'm like, I don't like that. With this, you just slide it on your head, boot up your computer, and you're good to go. There's even speakers built into the headset that kind of fire down toward your ear. They're not good speakers. Like if you want good sound, you should use a headset, like headphones. But they're good enough that, they're stereo speakers and you can hear everything going. Like I've played plenty with just the speakers, and you get kind of used to them. You get kind of calibrated to them after a little bit of play. But yeah, I mean, $400, like it feels like a value. You got to already have the PC. Then you got to spend money on the software.
Yeah.
You can also play games on Steam now because Steam supports the Oculus headset now.
Okay, so that I guess
so you're not just limited to.
That's my biggest question is like the software titles, like we're gonna get into No Man's Sky, which is getting VR support, which is a great option. Would you be able to use this? Wait for that. Would you be able to use this for that No Man's Sky update?
Yeah.
What about like Fallout VR, Fallout 4 VR?
Yep, and I think just about anything that's available on Steam has Oculus support as well. It shows you when you look at the games in Steam what headsets it supports. It'll say, it supports Vive, it supports Index, supports WMR, which is like Windows something, and Oculus.
Okay.
So like most games support all of them. I mean, double check when you're buying the game though that it supports Oculus.
Sure. Yeah.
And then obviously the Oculus Store is filled with its own games, and some of those are proprietary just to the Oculus Store.
Right.
Like they actually paid for the development. But even then, if you have another controller, like if I used to play Oculus games on my Vive because there's a program called Revive that just kind of mapped all the stuff over so I could play it.
Gotcha.
So it's really not that big a deal.
Okay.
But yeah, there's like some really cool stuff out there. But there's not a ton of like really like in-depth full games. There are some games like Fallout 4 or like Borderlands 2 that have been adapted to use VR.
Resident Evil was in VR because you played that in VR, right?
That's only available on PlayStation.
Oh.
The VR version of that was never adapted to PC.
Oh.
Yeah.
That
was an amazing experience. Like outstanding.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool thing. I'm still planning on getting the Valve Index, so I'll know more about. But that's like $1,000. That's
what's the difference?
Headset alone.
Is there like a short list of what the differences are with Valve Index?
The headset is better. It has bigger, better speakers for better sound. It has a higher resolution screen that also goes up to 144 hertz.
Ooh, now you're ringing my bell.
It still uses external tracking, which means that you have to set up basically they're like lasers that you set up in the corners of your room, and they shoot into your room, and then the headset and the controllers pick up those lasers to tell it where it is. So it's got that you have to set all that up. I remember my first time setting that up. It was a couple hours to get it going out of the box.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then it's got the touch controllers, which are new. I haven't used them yet. But the cost difference is
it's pretty
intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole system is $1,000 just for the headset. Like, let's say you're like me and you already have the lasers, the base stations set up. So you don't need new ones. It's $500 for just the headset. And then it's another $280 for just the controllers.
That's expensive.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an upgrade, but is it that much of an upgrade?
Right.
Yeah.
How much of a game changer? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the 144 hertz is really appealing in VR.
Yeah.
But I can't tell the difference between 80 hertz and 90 hertz, right? My old Vive is 90 hertz and the new Oculus is 80 hertz, and I can't tell the difference. It's fine.
Interesting. Anytime Destiny drops below 100 hertz, I can start feeling the choppiness.
Yeah. It's different. It's a totally different thing, though, being in VR
different
as opposed
experience.
to just watching. Yeah. I would definitely prefer a higher refresh rate, though.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But then your PC has to be able to maintain that, which is more cost.
Yeah. You don't move as fast in VR as you do in
true
first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not capable of running at 80 miles an hour.
And if
you did, you'd probably get sick.
Yeah.
Yep.